Ashley Osborne, and I have spent countless hours of my life researching, learning, and practicing all the different ways we can make money online. My goal with this channel is to prove to you that not only can you too make money online, but you can do so easier and faster than you think. If making money online interests you, then please hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification. That way you get notified every time I make a video. Let's get into today's video, shall we?
Hello friends, welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. Today we are going over SVG files and making them in Canva. Now, Canva would not be my #1 place I would say to go to make SVG files. It's just not really meant for making SVG files. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphic, and in my opinion, Canva does better with pixels, and an SVG doesn't use pixels. So the difference between an SVG and a PNG is really the pixels. An SVG can be really small and it can be blown up as big as you want because it's kind of done, to put it best, it's calculated more mathematically, whereas a PNG or a JPEG are used with pixels. And so it's important that you have 300 dpi, a really high resolution, so that it doesn't get distorted as it gets bigger. But like I mentioned, an SVG file, you don't need to do that. It doesn't matter how big it gets. It's never going to get distorted. It makes it a really great file in the craft world because that's what people who have Cricuts or Silhouette Cameos or Brother scanning cuts or even a Glowforge or other laser cutting machines, SVG files are what they use to be able to make those really cool cuts. So in my opinion, Canva wouldn't be the one that I would tell you to do. Wouldn't be the website I would tell you to use for SVG files. However, it is a great program and it's a great place for new designers to start out. It is, in my opinion, again, the best beginner-friendly designing program out there. We're going to use a 3600 by 3600 canvas. And like I said before, we really don't need to do that because we don't need it to have a high resolution. But it makes our canvas 12 by 12, and that's the size that most cutting machines are going to use, so I just always stick with that. So 3600 by 3600 pixels, like always. I'm just going to be creating a Valentine's Day design because that's the next holiday. I try to remember to do my file name in the beginning because otherwise I forget. So I'm just going to do Happy Valentine's Day SVG so that I know it's going to be an SVG in the end. Make sure that whatever you name it, it's just easy for you to find. So all you have to do is click Add a Heading. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger right away. And I'm going to just start typing. And the first line I'm just going to have say, I love you. I'm going to go ahead so that I keep everything the same size. I'm going to go ahead and push down my Alt key so that I can duplicate. Just grab it and pull down. If you don't feel comfortable using the Alt key yet, go ahead and click where it says duplicate here, or even right click and hit duplicate here. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this one, I love you, as big as. I wonder if I want as big as to be on the same line. I'm not sure, but for now I do. I'm going to go ahead and do the Alt key again and bring it down. And we're going to do the sky. Okay, so this is where I'm starting out. Now what I want to do is I want to give my text a little flair. So I'm going to go ahead and select the I love you part, and we're going to pick a font that's, I think, a little, maybe a little swirly. I'm not sure. If you know me, you know I love the swirly fonts. I just love them. Let's see. I like that this one's called Love Twist. Let's see what that. I kind of like that. Okay, so let's use this one first. We're just going to do this one first, and we're just going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and then let's do this one. Same. And this one, I think we'll do like a swirly font for this one. This is called Love Twist Regular, and then this one down here was Love Twist Sans, so they kind of go together, so I'm going to go ahead and use those. Now I might want to make everything the Love Twist Regular. I really like this, but for now this works, and we'll just see if we want to change it as we go. So right now, this is what we have. It looks really boring. So we're going to have to spice it up a bit. So I'm going to select where it says I love you. And I'm going to go over here to where it says effects. And for an SVG file, you're not going to be able to do like a shadow or anything like that. But we can either do like an outline. Let's see what that looks like. We could do an outline like this. That's kind of cute. We could choose to do a rounded curve. And the cool thing about the curve is how you can adjust the curve. So let me scroll down a little bit here. And right here where it says curve 100, you can actually move the slider and it will change the way that the curve works. So if you watch while I slide it over, you can change how this looks. Now this is really awesome because in some of the other designing programs, the more like Affinity Designer and all those, they can be a little bit more tricky to get text like this. So this just makes it so easy. It's one click. All right, so I'm going to make it kind of like that. I like how that's curved, but not like overly curved like it was when we started. And then I think I will keep it as an outline for that one. And then this one I'm going to keep solid and I'm going to keep it just like that. And then this one I'm going to do the curve again, but we're going to do it going the other way. So I'm selecting the curve, but you can see how the slider goes all the way back. So I'm just going to change the curve and you'll see how it switched and now it's going up. There we go. That's what I want to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and make it a little larger. And I'm going to move it. So that just by itself changed a whole lot. And the important part to me, when you are selling something, an SVG that's just mainly text-based, what's going to get a person to buy it is doing something that they don't know how to do. So anybody can just type up, I love you as big as the sky. They could just do that by themselves and they don't need to buy that from anybody. But what they may have trouble with is making it rounded like this. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. If you're going to do a design that's mainly text-based, add some flair to it that they couldn't do by themselves. Make it valuable. All right, so I love that already. And then what I want to do is I'm going to add some type of like maybe a heart and an arrow down below. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and scoot this up a little. Okay, and now I'm going to look for like a heart and an arrow. So I'm going to go over to elements and I'm just going to type in heart with arrow and see what comes up. We may just have to create our own. So I see that this is here and we could use that, but since I'm not going to change it a whole bunch, I don't want to use it because this is somebody's, since it's pro, we have to be a little bit more careful when using a pro item in your design. If we just went like this and put this right here, that just wouldn't be enough transformation to make it your own. And I don't have any other ideas that I could think of that I could do to this to kind of make it a transformative work to make it legally okay for me to sell. So I'm going to keep looking and maybe we'll just find a heart and an arrow and make our own. So this is kind of the idea I had right here. So I say, let's just make our own. Let's just do heart and see what we come up with. Okay, so here's a heart for us. Just a basic heart. And we'll put that down here for now. And then let's go to arrow and see what we can find. These arrows are kind of boring. Let's go to graphics. See what we can find. We don't want a swirly arrow. Small heart at an angle. What do we think of that? Yeah, I don't like that either. I just feel like it's just not quite the look we're going for. Okay, loving this arrow. We found a good arrow. I love it. All right, so we could do like this. Okay, and let's see if we want it like that or if we want it at an angle. I think we would want it at an angle. And then what we do is we select the heart and we bring the heart forward to the front like that. And that's just cute all by itself. I love that. I want to use this right here as my PNG file. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave it like this, and then I'm going to go to Share, Download, PNG, and Transparent. I have the Pro membership so I can make it a transparent background so I can make my PNG this way. If you can't do this, you can use the converter that I'm going to show you in a moment to create yourself a PNG. The reason I'm doing it this way is because, I'm going to go ahead and click download, is because I want to have this be my listing photo with this colorful heart. I want this right here to be my listing photo. And when I am going to send it to the converter, I'm going to need these two to be apart. And the reason for that is because if I keep it like this and I send it over to the converter to convert it into an SVG file, it's going to think that this shape and this shape are the same, and it will combine them together. But we don't want them combined together because we want the end customer to be able to have these be two different colors if they want. So they'll have an arrow and they'll have a heart, and when they cut it out, they can decide if they want to put the heart on top or how they want to do it. I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move the arrow and the heart over like this. Okay, so this is how we will convert it, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Now, when you go to share, if you have the Pro membership, you can save as an SVG, but the SVGs that Canva creates just do not turn out well. I have not had one turn out well. I've tested multiple and they just don't turn out correctly for cutting files or for a laser cutter. There's too much work that I would need to do to fix it up, to fix the file up and make it clean. It has a lot of extra kind of bumps and different things like that. It's not smooth cutting. And I'll show you what I mean in just a moment when we pull it into Silhouette Studio. But I don't use SVGs in Canva. What I do is I would just save it, and then we're going to put it in a file converter, and we're going to go from there. So we're going to go ahead and save this PNG again, because remember, we just saved it with the heart together, and now we're doing it separate. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to PNG, and we're going to save it again. So to get Convergio, it's convergio.co, and I will go ahead and put the link to this in the description below. There are a whole bunch of free file converters on the web, but this one is a tried and true for a really long time for me, so I know that I can trust what it creates, and so this is the one that I would recommend. You're going to hit choose file, and you're going to choose the file you want. Now remember, we do not want this one right here. This one right here that we have that is the heart on top of the arrow, that is the one that we're going to use for our listing photo. Now, if you needed to make it a PNG with a transparent background, you could do that in this program too. I'll show you how. But for right now, we're going to select this one, and we're just going to put it right there. And now where it says we're going to select this, and we're going to convert it to, we're going to hit the down arrow, and we're going to hit SVG. This is also where you could change it to PNG if you wanted to. You don't see that option because it already is a PNG, but just so you know, that's something that you can do as well. So we're going to go ahead and click SVG, and we're going to hit convert. Awesome. Once we're done converting, we're going to just click download, and it'll send it right over to your downloads. And from here, we're going to open Silhouette Studio. Now, I prefer to work in Affinity Designer. So for me, this is where I would go. I would go to Affinity Designer and I would open it up in here. But I'm assuming that you don't have Affinity Designer or a designing program, which is why we were using Canva to begin with. So since that's the case, I advise you to download Silhouette Studio or Cricut Design Space because they're free. You don't have to have the machine itself to download the design program. And you may as well just understand how to open your SVG files in this program and make sure that it looks good for your end customer. Because ultimately, your end customer is probably going to be the person that's going to be cutting out this file, and we want to make sure that it works. The best advice I have for you is to test your files. You don't have to test them by cutting them. You can test them by bringing them into the software and looking at the cut lines. I'll show you that in a second. It's very simple. And by doing that, you'll have an idea of how it's going to look for your customer. And that's going to save you a ton of headache, especially if you're selling things on Etsy where you're handling your own customer service. Trust me, it will save you a ton of time. So we're going to go to, after you have the program, I'm using Silhouette Studio today. You're going to go to File, Open, and you're going to select the SVG file. Depending on the settings of your computer, it may be the same as mine. Keep this in mind for your customers as well. This is one of the #1 questions you get when you're starting out is, I can't find my SVG file. Well, your SVG file is probably going to look like an internet icon, okay? A Microsoft Edge icon or a Chrome icon, something like that. But it is in fact the SVG. It just has to do with your computer settings, that's all. Now it's probably going to open way too big, and that's okay. All you have to do is grab it and go towards the corner until you get to the corner right here. And we're going to just shrink it down. All right, so get it to the size that you want to work with. And again, if you really wanted to change this and make it faster, all you have to do is select it, or lock it, and then change it like that. I just prefer moving the little, what do you call those? I just prefer moving it manually. I don't know why. Okay, so here is our design. And let's pretend that we are the customer. So when the customer goes to cut this out, okay, this is what they're going to do. They're going to select it and they're going to go over to Send. All right, and they're going to be able to see these cut lines. Anything you see that is red is a cut line, okay? If it looks like that's where you think they are going to be needing to cut, then you did it right. Now, since we have these right here, they're going to have to do a little bit more work. They're going to have to move it around a bit, but you don't need to worry about that. They will know how to do that in the end. That is not up to you right now. The simple fact is you pulled it in, you can see that the cut lines are right. Everything looks good, and that's the end of the story. And when your customer gets it, they will know what to do in their software program to ungroup, which is all they have to do. They just right click, they hit ungroup, and then they can move this little arrow and this little heart, and then boom, that's all they have to do. And they'll know how to do all this because they're the ones using the software. All you have to do is make sure that your cut lines look correctly, and they look correct. That's exactly how you would want it to cut out whatever it is that they are cutting out. We've done that. Let me show you why I wanted to go ahead and have a PNG file as well. One, I think it's good to offer different file types for your customers, but also because it's important for your listing photo. All right, well, this kid's adorable, so we're going to use this one. All right, and we just hit Insert, Upload. We're going to find that PNG file, and it'll say PNG. There it is. We're just going to double click that. And as you can see over here, you can see what it looks like, but you can move it up or down, bigger, smaller. I like it like that, and we're going to crop. And then there you go. So now when I'm setting up my listing, I will have this in my listing photo showing what it would look like on a t-shirt. And then when they purchase the design, they will get a PNG file and an SVG file. And it's that simple, guys. All right, well, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.